Hey guys, hope you are fine in current pandemic situation. Today I'm going to share how you can create modular buildings that can be used later for many other project of yours. In this tutorial, I'm going to create different window panels plus corner assets for the building and the upper panel of the window plus the floor and entrance of the building. This will be a longer tutorial. I think it will be easy for you to follow and understand. So for the start, create a panel of a window, press Shift A and add a plane to the scene. Then in edit mode, rotate the wall mesh 90 degrees on X or Y axis. To plan out the length and width of the window, you will need to create an edge in the middle of the plane. Press Shift R and hover your mouse cursor to the edges of the plane. When you will see the edge loop, press enter or click right mouse button to add an edge loop. To divide it into two, press Ctrl B to bevel it so that you can define the width of it. You will need to do the same for the length of the window. Then select the face icon and then select the middle face and insert it to make borders of it. Then extrude the face and define how much depth you want for the window. I will give it a bit more depth to it so that later I can fit windows in it. Then duplicate the face and press Ctrl I to invert the selection and press H to hide it. Then insert the face to define the wall frame of the window and insert it again to make gaps for the inner window frame. Then press Ctrl and plus sign from the numpad to grow selection and then just deselect the middle face and delete the selected face. Now add an edge loop to divide the plane and delete the lower part of it. Now insert it again and delete the middle face of it. Now just select all the faces and extrude it out. Then deselect the inner frame and grab the faces of outer frame of the wall window and move them out to give difference between the depth of the window. After that, add an edge loop inside of the window frame and press F to fill the frame. This will be the glass of the window. Now select this frame and duplicate it and slide it on Z axis and then select the snapping icon. Make sure you use the snap to vertex. Then slide it back below the upper window frame. By using the snapping tool, you can easily snap window to any vertex of the model. So if I move it up, it will work similar to a functional window. This can be helpful if we wanted to show some open windows. Then select all and slide it out. After that, unhide all and now you can move the window frames inside of the wall. To have better preview of your model, click on the top right button in the 3D viewport and check the cavity option and select the type to both. Then in edit mode, select the upper edge and duplicate it. And then extrude it up on Z axis. After that, select its face and extrude it out. Then add another edge loop. And after that, select the upper face and extrude it again. You can also position it on the lower side of the window, but I will be leaving it on the top of the window. To texture it first, go to Developer Preview, then in Scene tab, make sure you check ambient occlusion, screen space reflection. Also make sure you check the refraction inside screen space reflection. Then in Material, click on New to add material and name it Wall. Then click on plus sign to add new material slot and make sure you give name to material. That will be easy for you to later assign material to the model. For second material, name it frame. For the third one, name it glass, and for last, you can name it room. Now just select one face of the window frame and press L to select the wall faces connected to it. Repeat it to any other faces on which you want to assign frame material. Then just deselect the glass face and then in material select the frame material and click assign. Then in material base color change the color to grayish tone. After that select the glass face and assign glass material to it. In glass material, change the transmission value to 1 and roughness value to 0. Then under the setting tab, change the blend mode to alpha hash to make glass material transparent. Then check screen space reflection in settings and give value like 0.001. This defines the refraction depth of the window. As you can see, now you can see through the window frame. Now in edit mode, select the inner face of the window from back side and assign the last material. Then you just need to change the color of the wall material for temporary time period just to see how your models will look with colors. Now go to the shading tab and in material node press Shift A to open search window and select for image texture. Now click on open image and select the image you want to see on the wall. Then click on the color dot and drag it to the base color to link it to the material. Go to the material tab and select all material except the wall material, then hide them. After that, select the inner face of the wall and press Ctrl E in the 3D viewport and select mark seams. Then press U and select Smart UV, or you can also select the unwrap only. After that, inverse the selection and select the Smart UV again. The reason I'm using Smart UV is that Smart UV helps UVs to cover the distance in UV editor as far as they can. To preview your UV, you need to go into the bottom left window and change the editor type to UV editor. The selected faces of the model can be viewed in this window. If I select it and move it, the mesh will also going to update it. I feel that the inner face of the mesh have smaller brick size as compared to the outer one. So select them in the UV editor and scale them down to make their size bigger in the 3D viewport. After that, just duplicate the image texture and add ambient occlusion map to it. Then add mix RGB node and plug both of the texture in this node. Make sure to change its blending mode to multiply and also increase the factor to 1. In a similar way, duplicate the image texture and add roughness map to it. Then add a color ramp and plug the roughness map into the color ramp and color ramp to the roughness. Then duplicate again the image texture and use normal map. After that, use normal map node with the normal texture and change the blending mode to linear. If you want to have more detailed tutorial on material nodes, I will recommend you to watch my previous tutorial so that you may know about it in details. Play with the color ramp to control the color range of the image texture, so play with it to have more interesting roughness to the brick texture. For the inner texture for the room, you can use parallax for such job, but for this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can create window shades or window blind for the windows. So for that, click on the icon next to the scene and create new scene. So there will be 2 scenes in this project. You can switch between them and to have more scenes, but I usually use this for the baking texture. So select the mesh in the scene 1 and press Ctrl C to copy it, and then go to the scene 2 and press Ctrl V to paste it. Now add a new plane to the scene. Now select the window mesh and rotate it so that window face is in upward direction. Then position it on the top left corner of the plane and delete the window frame so that you can work on the walls easily. Now add a cube to the scene and then scale it down, and then scale it to make it wider and closer to the width of the wall. Then position it upward and then hit slash on the keyboard to hide everything, and in edit mode slightly rotate it and add an edge loop and then grab them up slightly and bevel the edge loop and scroll the middle mouse button to add more loops to it. Then again add an edge loop to the middle of the mesh and then bevel it to have borders at the edges. Now just add array modifier to it and increase the number of it. Now add new material to the cube and add ambient occlusion and plug that into the emissive node. After that, select the window mesh and then just click the negative sign button inside material to get rid of all the materials and add the newly created material to it. Make sure you check the ambient occlusion in the scene tab so that you can preview it. Don't forget to play with the values of it. After that, in material, add color ramp after the ambient occlusion to increase the black color of it. And adjust the position of the window blind if it's touching the walls. Now add a cylinder to the mesh and rotate it on 90-degree angle and then scale it and duplicate it and position them slightly closer to the walls. After that, add ambient occlusion material to it. Make sure it is closer to the window blind. After that, in the World tab, click New and change the strength value to 0. Then change the position of the black color stop slightly to have slight darkness to it. Then hit 7 on the numpad and add a camera to the scene and grab it up to preview plane from it. Then in Scene tab, change the dimension of the resolution to 2048 into 2048, or you can use 4096 into 4096. Then in camera setting, change the perspective type to orthographic and orthographic scale to 2. Now before baking, I'm just adjusting the scale of the window so that I can have more details of it. If you have more things to bake, you can use other empty space of the plane. You can also use curtains and any other object to bake it on the plane. And now you just need to render image from the render tab and then save the image and name it. To create the normal map, change the render engine from Eevee to Workbench and change the madcap to normal, and if you click the render button inside 3D viewport, you can see the normal madcap in real time. Now just make sure that you change the fill mix to standard inside the color management tab so that it does not affect the color of the normal. And then just hit render image and save it as you have done previously with the ambient occlusion. Now go to the scene 1, then select the material for the room, and in material node search for image texture and open the bake ambient occlusion and plug that into the base color. Then duplicate it and upload the normal map and plug that into the normal with normal map node. Then change the color space of it to linear. Then in left bottom window, change the editor type to UV editor and select the uploaded texture in it. Now go in edit mode and select only the window interface, or just select it from the material. Then in UV editor, select the face and slide it on the window blinds and try to scale it down. And match the bake texture, rotate it if the direction of the window blinds does not match the window frame. Now if you want to play with the colors and brightness of the picture, just add color ramp after the ambient occlusion map. And then slide the color stop to adjust the level of brightness and change the white color to slightly yellowish color. Now you can create duplicate copy of the mesh to have different variety of the window panel. Make sure you have checked the snapping tool on so that it will be easy for you to snap the panel to the end of the other panels. You just need to change the position of the window that will define where it's going to be positioned for the corners of the building. After duplicating it, select one of them and then in edit mode, select the vertex icon and just select the window part and the edge loops connected to it vertically and slide them off the sides of the panel. Then just select the wall material and unwrap it again, or use Smart UV Unwrap to get rid of the distortion of the mesh. If it doesn't cover the wall area, just select one face and press L key, and under the dialog box select it by seams and then unwrap it again so that UV covers the wall texture and matches the side window panels. If the rotation does not match, just rotate the UVs inside the UV editor to match the rotation of the other windows. After that, duplicate the mesh and move it to the other side of the window and just mirror it by pressing Ctrl M and the XYZ axis you want the window to be mirrored. You can also repeat the same process for the UVs as we did before to have different textures on this, but I guess it's matching the textures, so no need to unwrap it again. Now to create different window model, you just need to duplicate the mesh and move it on Z-axis and snap it. Then in edit mode, just select the upper vertex of the window and duplicate it and move it on its right side of the panel. Do the same for the top corner of the panel with snapping tool checked. The reason to do this is to have reference point for using it later to have same dimension of the panels. Then select the upper part of the vertex of the window and then delete it. And then scale it 0 on Z-axis to make it align the vertices horizontally. Then just select the upper two outer corners of the window and then add 3D cursor between them. Then select the top left side of the window vertices. Then press T to show the tools and select the spin tool. Make sure you have checked this button, otherwise you won't be able to see the spin tool gizmo. Then select the axis from the top left. Click the plus sign of the spin tool gizmo and rotate mouse cursor around it. Then in dialog box, change the angle to 180 and give more steps to have proper roundness to it. Then just select the vertices which are overlapping each other. Then in vertex tab, select merge vertices and then select by distance. This will going to merge them. Now just select the back side of the vertices and fill them. And do the same for the front side too. After that, just select the upper part of the window vertex and move them on Z-axis and bring the reference point vertex closer to the middle so that it will be easy for you to just snap the upper part of the window on it. After snapping, just hide the mesh and delete the reference point. Now just select the side vertices of the window and extrude them up and snap them carefully to match the topology of the mesh, and then select the bottom edge and start to fill them up. Then for the top vertices, extrude them up and scale them on z-axis, and then just snap them all on z-axis by using the reference point. After that, just delete the reference point. After that, select the rounded edges which have marked seams on them. And press Ctrl E to select clear seams. Then just select the outer edges of the window and apply marked seams to them. Clear the seams that are on plane surface and just leave marked seams after the faces or edges that starts to curve after a 90-degree angle. Then just select the outer face of the window panel and just unwrap them and rotate them if necessary. Then just select the faces of the inner wall and unwrap them and realign it with the window blinds to preview it. Do the same to the inner wall. If it does not show the texture, make sure to reapply materials to them. Now just select the side faces of the upper window design and duplicate them. And snap them on z-axis where the window faces are starting to spin. Then just delete the upper design and use the same spin tool for it as we did before for the wall. Just remember the position of the 3D cursor is very important for the spin tool, otherwise you will not get what you want. In the end, make sure you delete all the reference point, otherwise it will bother you when you will try to snap them on the edges of different panels. Then apply shade smooth to it and then auto smooth from the normals to have clean smooth shading inside the curve. Now we just need to create the side panels, or you can say the corner of the building. After that, select any of the side panels and in edit mode duplicate the bottom left vertex and extrude it up with snapping on. Then extrude it towards the panels. Now you can add edge loops to it and try to use odd number to get even number of faces on the panel. Then just delete the upper faces and leave bottom two. Then separate the top one by pressing Y. Then add edge loop to the top one and delete its side vertices. Then select both of them and extrude them out. Use insert command and then grab and pull them out on their faces. Select both of them and press P to separate them from the wall panel. Now just go to object mode and select these panel, and now in edit mode select the bottom left vertex and apply 3D cursor to it. Then in object mode select set origin to the cursor. Then in edit mode just duplicate all the faces and move them on Z axis while snapping on till it reaches the top edges of the Windows side panel. Then in object mode, press Alt D to duplicate their instances and then mirror them on their axis. Then rotate them on 90-degree angle. Now just grab and snap them on the edge of the other corner panel. Now just select both of them and press Alt D to duplicate the instances of them and snap them on every corner of the buildings. Now just select the window panels and duplicate their instances on 90-degree around other side to make a building. Now just select the window panels and duplicate their instances on 90-degree around the other sides to make a building. Use the median point in the snapping tool to snap the midpoint of the asset to the corner and then change the snapping to vertex so that it will help you while snapping these panels on the corner. Otherwise you will face the snapping problems. Then select the window panel and in material node select all and copy them. And then select the corner panel and remove all the material by pressing the negative sign. Now add new material and paste the copied node in this material. Now in edit mode press U and select Smart UV Unwrap. Then just change the image texture inside the material node to have new textures on it. This saves a lot of time. Now just duplicate the mix RGB and add ambient occlusion and use slightly yellowish desaturate color in it and plug that into the mix RGB and play with the blending factor. To create the upper panel of the window, in edit mode, duplicate the corner vertices and move them up on Z-axis. Then just extrude them down with the snapping tool on. Add edge loop and bevel it. Then extrude all of them and deselect the middle face and extrude the selected faces. Now just add an edge loop and use odd numbers to have even numbers of faces. Then duplicate the side edge and extrude it out, and then select the bottom outside vertex and press Ctrl Shift B to bevel the vertex. And then in the dialog box change the bevel profile to negative values so that we can have inside curve. Then just select the face and extrude it. Now you can duplicate them on edges. Make sure to use the medium snapping to snap them from their centers. Then duplicate on both sides of the panel and add edge loop to them and delete the faces that goes further away from the width of the main panel. Now select the top face and snap them to the outer side of the panels. In object mode, make instance of the panel and rotate it on 90 degree and snap it on the edge of the other panel. Now select both of them and hit slash to hide the rest. And in edit mode, switch to wireframe mode, select the corner vertex and apply the 3D cursor to it. Then in object mode, add a plane to it. And in edit mode, select all and merge the vertex to center. Check the snap tool and extrude the vertex to every corner of the panel. Then you just need to extrude them on the side panel, but use the XY axis to position them parallel to the other panel vertices. Now fill them up and you just need to extrude them to the other side and fill them again. Then just add mark sharp at the corner of the panel and apply shade smooth in object mode. And also check auto smooth to have hard edges on them. Now you just need to duplicate the instances and position them on top of every window panel. Then just apply the same corner material to top panel piece and remove the other materials. After that, select the top panel piece and use smart UVs inside the edit mode. Do the same to the corner piece. Now you just need to duplicate all the top model instances and snap them to the bottom of the building and mirror them on Z-axis to have different design to them. Then duplicate them again and mirror them again on Z-axis and snap it on the bottom of the building. Do the same to the upper models. Then duplicate all the instances and snap them on the upper side of the model to decide the length of the building. If you want to fill the corner of the building, you can select the top corner piece and in edit mode, duplicate it and extrude the bottom part of it down to the end of the window panel. And then separate them. After that, just use the smart UVs to create the UVs of the mesh. After that, you will need to instance them and position them on every corner of the building with the help of snapping tool. To create the floor panel window, duplicate the meshes and snap them from the bottom. And then in edit mode, change the length of the corner pieces. Don't forget to use a smart UV command after you have changed the length of it. Or just scale the UVs inside the UV editor. Now just simply select the panel window and click the number button that is next to the material name so that you can make a new material out of it. Now just replace the texture to have more different brick textures. After playing with the texture, you just need to apply them to every bottom window panel of the building. For the model that will meet the floor, select the window panel and in edit mode, duplicate the two bottom corner vertices and connect them, and then extrude them down on Z-axis. Then separate this mesh from the window panel. Then in object mode, set the origin by going into object tab and choose origin to 3D cursor. Now what I do is just add edge loops to plan out which area I want to extrude out. Then select them and extrude them out slightly. Then grab and slide out the upper face more than the lower one. After that, add an edge loop to the center of the mesh, then bevel it. Now just select the lower face and extrude it inside the mesh. This can be anything. You can make it look that it's an underground window, or maybe it can be a passage to the sewers. Then add an edge loop in the middle and select the edge of the window and move it on Z-axis. Now just select this edge loop and bevel it to give curveness to the window. Now add cylinder and duplicate them to make a boundary for this window. After that, just add material to it. I will be giving it dark value of green color. You can give gray or bluish color too. Now just like before, make an instance of it and rotate it on 90° and snap it on the edge of the model. Then again, just like before, you just need to select both of them and hide everything else and add a 3D cursor to the corner of them. Add a plane to it and merge it to its center. Then snap the vertex to the corner of the mesh, and then just like before, you need to extrude and snap the vertex to create the corners. Then just duplicate it to its side. You can also change the position of the window in edit mode. Just snap and align them to the upper part of the window. For other models, you can use the mirror command to change and align them to their upper window panels. After duplication, it will look like this. For the entrance, you need to delete any panel from the center of any side. Then select the window panel that are parallel to each other and put 3D cursor between them. Now just add a plane and rotate it on 90°. And in edit mode, grab the lower edge of it and move and snap it on Z-axis to match the other lower side of the mesh. Then just add edge loop to plan out where you want the stairs to be and how much wider you want your entrance door to be. Then just select the face and extrude it inside to make the entrance. Then just select all the plane faces of the stairs and extrude them out one by one, deselecting the top stairs. Select the upper edge and duplicate it and extrude it and make it look like a board so that you can apply text for the entrance or anything you want to write on it. You can do it. Now select the inner face and duplicate it and place it near the entrance for glass door. Just add edge loop in the center of it and bevel it, and then delete the inner faces to give gaps between them. Now add more edge loops to the side of the entrance, then select the upper edge and duplicate them. Then extrude them out to create a shade for the entrance. Then extrude them down and fill the gaps if necessary. Now select all the edges of the shade and bevel it to have round corner edges. Make sure that the normals are flipped, otherwise you will face distortion. To flip the normals, only select the shade mesh and press Shift N to recalculate the normals. Then add cylinder to the edge of the model to make pillars for the entrance, and duplicate it on other side as well. Then duplicate them and scale them down to make them thin. This will be going to be the support of the shades. After that, apply shade smooth and use auto smooth to define hard edges of it. For stairs and for the shade, use gray color and then use the wall material for pillars. Use the window glass material for the door and also apply gray material to the inner side of the doors. It will give more better look for the windows reflection and will look good for depth too. Now as we created the lower panels of the buildings, in a similar way I have created the floors of the building. For creating the window outer unit, just select one of the window and slide it up to have more space for the outer unit. Then just duplicate the lower edge and extrude it up. Then just define the distance of it and then just extrude it out. After that, use inset and you can use edge loops, create interesting shapes and then later extrude it in. After modeling it, just separate it from the window panel, then remove the materials and apply new material with greater metallic value with increasing roughness to it and give grayish tone to it. Then just use the same window blind texture for the inner extruded face and then UV unwrap it and make sure that you cover the texture with these UV faces. In the end, I have just added a simple box for the roof of the building and scaled it accordingly. Then have used the concrete material for it and scaled up its UV to have more details in it. If you can create this building, you can easily create different facade of the building. You will just need to use reference for such kind of task, and that's pretty much about it. Hope you liked it. If you like my tutorial, then subscribe and support me on Patreon, where you will be able to get the projects files that I have used in my tutorials. Thanks for watching.